Hey guys, welcome back to another video. It is me, Mr. Cameraman, and today we're going to be talking about Moon Knight Rise of the Blood Moon. So this is a fan film that released a few days ago, I think, and I was asked to cover it, so I was like, why not? This fan film was very interesting, and I wouldn't even say it was interesting in a good way. I think it was just very interesting. I covered the trailer for this back in June, and I will say I was pretty excited in June for this. I thought this project had potential. I don't think that potential was very much fulfilled here. I think this project was still good. I'm not going to deny that. It just has a few issues. And first thing is the issue that I feel like this entire film had one actor. And it isn't bad because the actor is playing three different personalities in his head. But it felt like besides from that, you also had the villain, who I believe was the same. Like, it was a lot of people, but played by the same actor. And this film, I think, didn't even have... Even if it had different actors, there were very few fights, per se, in this film. And when there were fights, it was a lot of cutting of cameras, a lot of, like, not really seeing the fight actually take place. It was a lot of, like, getting or beating around the bush of the fight, like, someone doing something, then cutting again. Like, we didn't really see a fight, which is fine, but I don't think that really worked for a person like me. I will say this fan film did a lot that I actually did enjoy. I think it just felt like there were a lot of issues with it, because Moon Knight is a very challenging character to pull off, and they just very simply, I don't think, did it. I think Moon Knight looks a little wonky with the oval head, and I think the Mr. Knight suit looks so much better than the Moon Knight suit. I think the Moon Knight suit doesn't come together very well, especially with the fact that there's no pants for it. I think the Mr. Knight suit actually comes together so much better. And I even think the villain suit probably is the best looking suit in the film. So probably it was the villain suit, then Mr. Knight, then Moon Knight, which I don't think is what anyone expected or wanted. But I think that's just the way it turned out, because the Moon Knight suit just didn't... It looked good with the shirt, but it didn't have pants to make it work, because it just kind of like felt like it got cut off, and then the head looked weird. So they ended up getting pants for some scenes. I'll say some scenes I believe did, some scenes didn't. I think the plot of this film actually was pretty cool, though. I think they had a lot of creative ideas, and I think they executed them pretty well overall, actually. I really enjoyed a lot of the ideas that they presented and dealt with in this film. But back to what I was saying at first, I think they had a lot of characters, and I think a lot of them were done by the same actor, which could be a locational thing, but I also think that if it was different actors, they would have had fight scenes. So I think the reason why you can tell it's the same actors, because there weren't any fighting. It was very much basic camera, static, that's it. And I don't think that really works very well a lot of the time. I'm very excited to see what... this film was supposedly in development for 2 years, which I wouldn't say I doubt, but I think that means it probably just kept getting delayed. Because I don't think that this was really a project that was more challenging than some of the other things that they've made. Because I think this is the studio that made that big Spider-Man film that I actually loved. And I think if that's the same studio, that Spider-Man film was incredible. And this just didn't live up to that. I think this film just was good. I just don't think it was great. But I'm very excited to see if this was the same studio that did that Spider-Man film, because I love that Spider-Man. I think the one with, like, the 5 different Spider-Man, I love that. I don't remember... I think this actor was in it. I don't remember if they were the lead or not. But I think we even get a lot of these smaller studios that work together. We saw Fan Film Studios, White Rabbit, one of the two, I think. I think they work in both. Their Peter Parker come into this, which was fine. I just wish that they had more actors in it. I think it would have helped the story come together. I'll say, though, I think the editing in this was a very wishy-washy thing. I think the blood moon scenes actually looked really impressive visually. I think they had a kind of wacky aesthetic that I think actually came together very well. I don't think the editing actually was bad. I think the editing looked pretty good. I think a lot of times there's green screen. It is apparent. There were times that heads got cut off and stuff. But I think a lot of the time with the green screen, it actually looked pretty good. I always say, if you're going to use green screen, at least do it right. And I think a lot of the times in this fan film, they did it right. Another thing was Khonshu. And the editing for Khonshu was very weird. I think the bobblehead, the Funko Pop, which I have in my room, I believe that's what they used for it, didn't work very well. I think also the voice, I think a lot of the voices in this film sounded extremely similar. I think almost every single character sounded almost the same, which I don't think is the way it should sound. I think for a character like Khonshu, they should have a presence. And I know I talk about this all the time, but I think a lot of times in fan films like this, the characters feel to blend together. Like all the actors, but it can be the same actor. Then at least get other voice actors or something, or do something to their voices to make them have like a presence. Because if each actor can act differently, or like if each actor has like a different purpose, I guess you could say, it really makes you feel so differently about some of the characters. And I think a lot of times fan films do that very well, and a lot of times fan films just don't. I would love to see if a fan film could just be like, let's get a lot of really great different like voices so we can at least feel like each character is defined by their voice, especially if we're not seeing the character on screen, which was an issue that, for me at least, just kept coming up. I think the final editing thing was the blackouts, which I think looked very good. I think almost every time there was a blackout, it looked visually pretty cool. I did like how they did and stylized the blackouts and stuff. I think, let's go through the 6 points. Directing-wise, I think a lot of the shots were static and not very interesting, which like knocks it down a few points in my opinion. I didn't love the way this film was shot. I think editing-wise was also very wishy-washy. I think it had a lot of very cool editing things with the Blood Moon, and it had a lot of non-cool editing things. I think with Khonshu, they could have done something else. I think they even could have made Khonshu like a shadow, and just made that shadow Khonshu, or not how to make the face move. I think there were just so many options they could have done that they just didn't go with. For acting, I think the main actor does very good, and we don't really get much more acting in it, I feel, which is part of the issue I have with this. The story I thought was pretty good, though. I think the story actually kind of carries this. I don't think there was much choreography, and the music was pretty good. I don't think it was their own score, though, so obviously I can't comment much on it. Besides that, I think that's all I have to say. This fan film was pretty good overall. I think I just kind of had my nitpick things. I feel like a lot of my reviews are just like the nitpick things. But I did enjoy watching this fan film. I did not have a bad time, and I think that's all I have to say. Thank you guys so much for watching this video, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye, guys.